Hello, and welcome to another cantankerous billionaire episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel, an aspiring cantankerous billionaire.
Yeah.
I am a Tiny Habit certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. I have lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 6 years. And with me today is...
Donald Weigel. I have the cantankerous part down. I just don't have the billionaire part down yet. But I am one of the hosts of this show. I have lost about 100 pounds. I've kept it off for about 6.5 years now. And I can't wait to hear what a cantankerous billionaire has to do with this episode.
Well, I sort of identify as like my future self is a very cantankerous billionaire, like with a dark secret, heart of gold. Like there's a lot of backstory. And I don't know if you noticed, I almost try to tell you what you were. Like, and here is my secretive, like maybe ex-military, like Navy SEAL, boyfriend.
That's
like,
when you see me, you really you think former Navy SEAL.
But like me prescribing your backstory or your future potential isn't helpful. Like you're going to decide what you are in the future. I can't decide for you. Like I'm not going to order off the menu for you. You need to do that for you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I was thinking if I became a cantankerous billionaire, I'd want to do like the Howard Hughes, wear shoeboxes for shoes sort of thing.
Okay.
But then I was then it just occurred to me, why wait to be a billionaire? I could wear shoeboxes for shoes right now. I don't have to have all that money to do it. I have the ability to wear shoeboxes for shoes right now.
And I also have the ability to
find another husband.
Find a new husband.
Yeah.
But I think having a strong personality goal, I think, is sort of important. And I feel like, I know recently we talked about boy bands and Spice Ladies.
Spice Women.
The Spice Women.
We sure did.
But I feel like it might be a good opportunity to go back. We're going to take you out of the 90s. We're going to take you out of the 80s.
Right.
We're taking you to the 1970s, which I don't know if it counts as a boy band, but the Village People.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a band that is all boys.
All guys.
Is that by
boys?
Is
sounds
that by
weird.
definition? Well, I mean,
a guy band.
The Backstreet Boys were also men.
Boys for now.
Boys for now. That's
but
right.
Okay, I in terms of branding, right? Who it was a more visually recognizable. I don't remember how many were there.
There were five.
Five. There
Maybe
were
six?
very
specific,
specific,
I'm not sure.
maybe not sort of a little bit of appropriation, maybe in some cases, but they stood out. There was a fireman, a policeman, a worker guy.
The one guy was, sometimes he was a cop and sometimes he was a ship's captain, sort of the main guy. And but there was a Native American also. I think he really was Native American, wasn't he?
I don't remember. I'm not really sure. But the point is that they had distinct personalities, right? You weren't going to confuse the dock worker with the docker,
the construction
worker with the captain or whatever. They each had their own roles to play.
Right. And very distinct uniforms.
Right. And they weren't trying to be something other than they weren't. They were being authentic. Don't you think they sort of dressed authentically that was their actual, right?
Yes.
Their
true selves were on stage.
Right.
Yes.
And for the band Kiss also.
Oh, yeah.
They're very specific face paint.
I think the face paint was their real faces.
Right.
Is that what you're trying to say?
There was actually a Mad magazine where it was Kiss when they go home to their families and their whole family's also dressed like that, and their dog, one of them had a dog really that actually had a star painted on his eye, and they looked kind of rebellious, but very strong, distinct personalities stand out. And I think something that I have been working on personally is coming up with my own personal vibe. And a lot of times we try on other personalities or other vibes,
right?
The grunges, what was glam rock? Is that a vibe?
Yeah, that's
that
a vibe. I mean, Kiss kind of is glam rock, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so. And you were not a grunge, were you, Donald?
No, I don't know. I was sort of a weird goth punk hybrid, but
yeah, like
it's
industrial hard guy.
Yeah, anyway, I was going to say something which might not. I was going to say I've always felt like I was very overweight for a lot of that time, and being goth and very overweight is not necessarily like a combo that works too well visually, but
well, I thought you were pretty rad. I ended up marrying you, so it ended up being cool. But like a lot of times it's like when we're trying on personalities, it's hard to like maintain that. Like it's really hard to maintain like shaving the back of your head and having purple hair and like getting piercings and stuff like for me, that was like, oh gosh, this is a lot of work. Like it's a lot of work to maintain. And I actually stopped doing that when I started working full time. I was like, this is too hard to have like the work me and then the home version. I just needed to be like kind of a more general version of myself.
Yeah. Well, I have a secret to tell.
Oh, okay.
To tell you.
Oh.
And to tell everyone.
Everyone lean
listening.
in.
Everyone who's listening. Guess what?
What?
Everyone listening right now is in maintenance.
What? We were just talking about maintaining habits and like maintaining purple hair. And...
I know. Well, let me tell you,
Do tell.
We might typically think about being in maintenance as being like you hit a goal weight, and you're trying to like maintain that weight. You're like in maintenance. However, to maintain is to keep in existence or continuous, to preserve, to retain, to keep it in an appropriate condition, operation, or to keep in a specified state.
That's a lot. It's a lot to maintain things. Like it's a lot to be a kiss.
Yeah.
Is a kiss like are you a kiss?
Yeah.
Is that what
you're one of those
a village folk?
You're one of those kisses. That's how like I feel like my parents would have
the Backstreet Spices.
Yeah, you're one of them there Backstreet Spices, aren't you? But you know, we maintain our cars, our teeth, our body regularly, but we often forget to check in on why we're doing those things. And I think that we as human beings, I think that we often go through life thinking that there'll be some lightning bolt moment that will hit, that we'll have this epiphany, and that will become our magical why. We will be visited by 3 ghosts in the night. Or you brought up this morning on our walk, there was that woman who lost a whole bunch of weight back in the 80s or 90s.
Her name was
Susan Powder.
Susan Powder. I forgot to actually look her up again, but
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
She was super overweight. She had a husband, and I want to say she had 35 kids. Maybe she was that old woman who lived in a shoe. I can't remember.
Right.
But she was super overweight, and her husband left her. And there was this movement where she was she found her why. She was like, I'm going to start walking, and I'm going to take my life back. And she was super inspirational because she was like, oh, I went from super overweight to super fit. And I feel like there was some I wanted to embody her why, and ride her why coattails. But it wasn't as a 12-year-old, I wasn't a divorcee with 6 kids. So it wasn't really my why to take. Sure, I could be inspired by her, but it wasn't yes, this is my truth also.
Yeah. And there seemed to be a whole lot of, with Susan Powder, a whole lot of I'm doing this because my husband was such a jerk. That was
revenge weight loss.
So I think we all wish our husbands were so jerky that we would wake up and just have the intrinsic motivation from that point on to reach our goals. But I think that we oftentimes have to re-examine why we're doing something in order to keep ourselves going. Because if you don't know why you're doing what you do, how can you expect yourself to keep doing it?
No, I mean, and I think that is a really good point. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. This isn't just about the village people.
Although we could start a village people themed podcast.
In sassafras service, whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know why I can't say.
Nights in sassafras service. Yes.
Kiss. Anyway, but going back to your thing about maintenance, we maintain our cars. We don't just get a car and then ride it into the ground.
Right.
If you're good.
Unless you're me as a teenager.
Right. I know. Which we'll talk about
with my first car. Yeah.
But we get checkups for our health. I just had blood work done.
Yeah.
We do dental checkups. We do car checkups. And this is what a brain checkup. A lot of times we don't check up on our brains because it's like, where do you go to get, I guess you can go and get checked up on your brain, but sometimes it's weird to do that. So
yeah. So I think if you just feel yourself going through the motion and you're just asking myself, like, why am I really doing this? Like, really start to, like, we're going to maybe give you some tools and some things to think about to really keep yourself in the game, so to speak.
Right. So a lot of times when we're thinking about our why, like the big Susan Powder why, like I want to revenge, for my terrible husband, like that's somebody else's why. And if we don't have some big terrible ex to revenge, lose weight on, sometimes it can be difficult to even know what your why is. And I think for me, like just, as I was going through this process for myself, looking at your why today, like, why are you here? Why are you listening to this?
Yeah.
It might have changed from when you first started your weight loss journey venture. So, like, for me, for example, I think the first time I sort of went on a diet was when I was like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's super young. My why when I was 12 was because I didn't want boys to keep making fun of me.
And here's the funny thing. My why at age 12 was also because I didn't want boys to keep making fun of me.
Yeah, boys are the worst.
Yeah.
But then, like, at 18, my why was because I wanted my boyfriend to find me attractive because he kept saying that women who were 5 feet tall were super cute. And I was 5'7", and I was never going to be 5 feet. So I was like, I was trying to compensate for not being what he wanted. This wasn't Donald, by the way.
Yeah, I don't mean to keep derailing you, but when I was 18, I just wanted to have a girlfriend who could then find me attractive. I didn't have that part of it nailed down.
Right. So at 12, it was boys not making fun of me. 18 was so that my boyfriend wouldn't make fun of me. At 25, it was because my clothes were way too tight. Like, quite frankly. At 28, it was because, and this is actually me, by 28, I had gained 100 pounds from when I was 25.
Yeah.
Fun fact. And the physical impact of being 140 pounds overweight was really painful. Like, actually at age 28, it was very painful to be as overweight as I was.
Yeah.
And all of these things are like, it just sort of in categories. Avoidance, it was external, it was pain, it was discomfort. Like, those aren't great whys. Those aren't super inspiring whys. And when I was 41, and this was in the past, obviously not now, I wanted to be a better role model for our teen.
Yeah.
Or for our child, actually. She wasn't even a teenager at that
she was
point.
very much not a teen, yes.
But, like, I felt like I was a really bad role model. I was eating in secret, like literally behind doors so that she wouldn't see me. I would make her great meals, and I wasn't doing that for myself.
Yeah.
And it was external. Like, I wanted to be a role model for someone else. So up until all of this, again, it's external, avoidance, pain, discomfort. And now I have a big birthday coming around. I won't say what it is. But I'm at the point now where my why is intrinsic.
Yeah.
It is internally motivated. And in decades past, it was external. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where this isn't about, like, our daughter doesn't care. She seriously, lean in. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
That I go swimming. She doesn't care that I, like, have a podcast.
I know. All of this role modeling did not.
No, it didn't work.
No, she still would prefer just to sit in front of a computer. And
right.
play
So
games.
her form of rebellion is to be the opposite of what we are.
Yeah. So that all backfired.
Yeah.
However, we did get much healthier.
Yeah. So in the end, it ended up paying off. But, like, over time, my why from 8 years ago is not the why I have now. And paying attention, like, if my, like, why is always like, well, I want to be a role model to my daughter, and I'm not now, my why has changed, right?
Yeah.
Holding on to old why, MCA, old whys is not sustainable. So we are asking you today, for the you of the now is to think about the why you have now and what is going to continue your joint venture into the future.
Yeah, and even for me, I had a little bit of a lightning bolt moment, which was I was about 8.5 years ago diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and my doctor telling me that some of the consequences of that could be blindness or having to have a limb amputated. That was a real sort of lightning bolt, eye-opening moment. However, 8.5 years later, with my diabetes very much under control, I oftentimes have to look for other whys. Now, the why of keeping those complications from coming back is still important to me, but I still have other considerations to think about when moving forward and really sort of grounding myself and reminding myself why I keep doing this.
Okay, so we have talked about sort of the external avoidance sort of things that have driven our weight loss in the past, wanting to be a good role model for others, being what we were looking at. But now we're going to go deep into the intrinsic core of why we are doing what we're doing, and did a little bit of research on this. I was going through the process myself of trying to uncover well, what is my why? Why bother? I'm right now at the age that I am. I'm I just got blood work done. Everything's fine. I'm not, where I was when I was 28, 140 pounds overweight. I don't have terrible pain. I don't have whatever. It's kind of well, why bother? Everything's kind of fine the way it is right now. But a lot of times when we're going through the process of why am I tracking? Why am I walking? Why? I don't really have any big reason to do it. What we can do is kind of go back into our core and think about what our values are. Businesses do this. What are our values? What do we stand for? What's our mission statement?
Yeah.
And when we start thinking really at our core, what we care about, not what we should care about, what other people think we should look like or prioritize, but what we really care about, it can drive us forward and actually give us that inspiration and that spark to continue.
And also, if you're at a different point in this joint venture, you can do this if you're saying to yourself, I just can't get myself motivated, or I just can't find the reason to do this, or I'm still waiting for my lightning bolt moment to come around. Then looking at these core values and figuring out really why you're doing this can help really, point you in the right direction of knowing why you're doing it, and not necessarily be motivation, but really keep in mind the reason to go through all of the stuff that you want to go through to hit a goal weight or to maintain a goal weight.
Right. So I looked online at values, core values. What are my values? You can Google those on the interweb. You can Yahoo them. I know you Google things, but do you Yahoo things?
I think you can still Yahoo things. Yeah.
It doesn't sound as great, but what are you going to do? So whatever search engine, search up your core values and you'll find a lot of different things. But I found a couple of articles, one by James Clear, and then there was another one that I found that sort of talked about going through the process of finding your core values. And one of the things that it said is that a lot of times we think about aspirational, we see influencers who are super cool, who are super rich and live in minimalist houses and
right.
Travel to Tahiti and whatever and dance everywhere.
Those cantankerous billionaires that I follow on Instagram.
Right. But you might be oh, wow, that's really cool. And you sort of try on their outfit, so to speak. Oh, I'm a construction worker who sings the YMCA song, whatever. But that's not who you are at your core.
Yeah.
So going through this process of figuring out your core values means stepping back from what you think sounds good based on what you want your self-image to be, and actually instead looking at intrinsically what is meaningful to you. And that can't be prescribed. Like, I can't tell Donald what his values are.
Right.
Right.
Although
like,
you try all the time.
No, but like if you're looking at a
Just a
restaurant
joke.
menu,
Yeah.
right, and you're just like, oh, that sounds amazing. Do you want to share it? And you're like, I don't really want to share. Like Donald loves. I'm going to just say it. Donald loves eggplant. I do not like eggplant at all.
That's
and
very
if Donald, as much convincing as Donald could do to be like, but it's delicious and it's like whatever. If I don't like it, then like I'm not going to eat the like I don't. Then I'm like not living up to my full potential.
Yeah, or if you just dislike seafood and you're at a seafood restaurant, like you're not going to look at the menu and suddenly, cod is going to start looking great to you or something.
Right. So James Clear had a list of 50 potential this is just a menu of potential values that people might have. And we're going to go through them. And the process and the suggestion of this is to actually, like, there's another list that had 200 values, and we're not going to do that. So we're saving you time right now.
Right.
So we value saving time sometimes. But we're going to go through a list of core values. And what we would like you to do is really listen to each and think is this like meh? Like, yeah, I could do that. Or is it something that really speaks to you? Is it like, oh, yeah, that's actually what I value? So we're going to go through the list of James Clear's 50 values. And as we're going through it, which ones really are your like, oh, yeah, that's me. Like, that really sounds like me. Not what you think it should, but what it actually is. So, Donald, you start us out, and then I'll finish this up.
Yeah, and also I'll link to this list in the show notes so you can go back and look at it. But just to give you a more concrete idea of what we're talking about, the list starts with authenticity, achievement, adventure, authority, autonomy, balance, beauty, boldness, compassion, challenge, citizenship, community, competency, contribution, creativity, curiosity, determination, fairness, faith, fame, friendships, fun, growth, happiness, honesty, humor, influence, inner harmony, and justice.
Those are really big. And you know what didn't come up for me? Like one that was the antonym, fun. Fun was not.
Yeah, fun is not a core value. No.
But like,
no.
But really,
hanging out with other people, if that was on here, no, that would not be something I'm interested in.
But just like take a beat and think about all of those things that Donald just said. Was there something, and I know we went through quickly, is there something that really resonated with you?
Yeah. And part of the reason we are giving you this whole list is to give you like broader ideas of what these sorts of things might be.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to go through the second part. Kindness, knowledge, leadership, learning, love, loyalty, meaningful work, openness, optimism, peace, pleasure, poise, popularity, recognition, religion, reputation, respect, responsibility, security, self-respect, service, spirituality, stability, success, status, trustworthiness, wealth, wisdom, rebelliousness, and cantankerism. like
I think you may have made up that last one.
I did, but like I actually, speaking of cantankerism, my grandmother.
I don't think that's a thing.
I'm going to say it's a thing. It is now a thing.
Cantankerousness?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I went to my grandmother's house a few years ago. She was 96 years old. Went into her apartment, and some of her paintings and pictures on the wall were like, all of them were a little bit askew, like there had been an earthquake. She lives in Massachusetts, or she lived in there was no earthquake. And so I was like, oh, Graham, I'll like help you organize your photos and I'll put them level. And she was like, Kathy, I have them crooked on purpose because I want to mess with people when they come to visit me. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, no, it's like funny to me. And I like, is that not cantankerous? Like you think like, oh, you're 96, you're wizened, you don't know anything. And she's like,
also would legit drive me nuts looking at a whole bunch of crooked
but like
pictures.
Knowing that was her core value of like, hey, I'm going to mess with people is pretty funny. So cantankerous is where we are.
Here's a fun fact too. In order to get to your grandma's house, you had to go over the river and through the woods.
I did actually.
Yeah.
But that's another story. So way to go, Donald.
Okay.
So in going through that list, and again, I did some soul searching for myself of what core values I actually have in my life. Like, this is for real. Like, what do I care about? Like, I don't care about like boho chic. I don't really care about wealth. Like, I'm just...
What's your motivation for hitting your goal weight? Boho chic.
No, but like, look, no slight if boho chic is your vibe. Okay, but for me, I actually went through them. Like, what do I really care about? And these are the words that came up for me, like in my actual real life, not as a podcaster, but like for real: independence, autonomy, safety, strength, stability, self-reliance, kindness, being of service, warmth, humor, like, I don't know, like...
I highly value humor. I don't know that I have any.
Right, but like flexibility, autonomy, all of these words kept coming up to me. Like, I see a theme of like independence, safety, strength, stability. Those are really my core values. And I can't prescribe those to you. I can't say like, this is what you should care about. For me, this is what I actually care about. And I showed the list to Donald. I said, hey, Donald, this is my list. And he was like, oh, hey, I also value these things.
Yeah, this would, if I was going to come up with my own list, which I did not, my list would look very, very similar to this. And I think that part of what keeps me going, or, I hate to use the word motivate, but motivates me to continue to try and stay fit and to keep walking up the stairs instead of taking the elevator and things like that, is so that I can have this independence and autonomy and safety and not have to be reliant on other people as I age. And as I am getting older, I am even older than Catherine, if you can believe it. I have to keep asking myself, and we would suggest you keep asking yourself, what kinds of things do you want for your future? And for me, for Catherine, that is travel, to explore. I want my mobility. I want ease of maneuvering. I want independence, contentment, peace of mind, novelty, strength, flexibility, autonomy. And being physically fit leans into all of those things. And when I say physically fit, I don't mean that you're like an Olympic athlete style physically fit, but just that you have the ability to, to live the life, or that I have the ability to live the life that I want to live without having to rely on other people. And that really helps keep me active and, remind me why I'm counting my calories, to not, put a whole bunch of weight back on, to then, suffer the consequences of diabetes, or to end up not having my mobility and my autonomy.
Well, and for me too, I mean, just going back into that, like the core values, I've had those for a very long time. Like, I wanted to drive when I was 10. I wanted to move out of my house and get a job and have, like, for me, my independence and security and autonomy has been one of my driving forces my whole life. And again, I can't teach that to anyone, but not only do I want that in my past, like from my childhood, but I also want it into our future. I'm not going to be like, well, my value is to rely on others. Like, or wasn't that Scarlett O'Hara? I've always relied on the kindness of others.
Yeah.
Like, I find that suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to rely on anybody. And
yeah, no kidding.
And that's just my value. That's not, prescribed by anyone else. So what do you find true for you? What do you value, and what do you want for your future? So the next question is, and this is kind of where more, self reflection comes in, is what kinds of things am I doing now to support my core values? Not only the things that I value, but the things that I want for my future. So the things that I'm doing right now to support my independence, my autonomy, are: I walk, I limit alcohol, I track my calories, I listen to mindset podcasts and books. I'm working with others, like I'm building a community to support people in these goals. I'm eating well. I'm moving in a lot of different ways. I'm going swimming. I'm going to the gym. I'm going on walks with Donald. Like, these things that I'm doing are supporting what I say I value, which is my autonomy, my strength, my independence. And these are also things that I want for my future.
Yeah. And so keep asking yourself, are your current efforts / habits, behaviors in alignment with what you say you want for your future?
That's a big one.
And if they are, then great, then you're on the right path. But if you're saying to yourself, well, not really, I'm just sort of going through the motions, then ask yourself, and maybe even if your habits are in alignment, you ask yourself, what could I do to level up? What could I do more of, or what could I do less of? And, things like being in a consistent calorie deficit, reducing alcohol consumption, doing more workouts, doing less late night eating, or reducing emotional eating, or whatever those things are. Really look and ask yourself, what could I level up? Which of the things that I'm doing now could I take to the next level? And that is a great way to move forward on your journey, venture.
Well, and I think that we have competing motivations, right? One day doesn't matter. Like, oh yeah, sure, I scroll on my phone for an hour, but like, that's not a big deal. It's just like tomorrow I'll do something different.
Right.
But if you look at your core value, what do you value? Well, I value my flexibility and my independence and my mobility. Okay, well, is scrolling on your phone for an hour in alignment with what you say is important to you? Not to say that there's a this or that, dichotomy, but like, gosh, yeah, I say I want to be independent and flexible and whatever, but like, what I'm doing day to day isn't really showing that. So how could you, like Donald said, how could you add more? How could you add more walks, more vegetables, like adding and adding and adding to live into what you say is important to yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we're sort of rounding this up, again, we've asked questions about what are our core values? What activities do we value in our life? What kinds of things am I doing now to support it, and where can I level up? Is to really think about like, and not from a place of fear or like, oh, you're going to get diabetes. Oh, your leg's going to fall off. Like, this isn't about fear. This is about imagining your future and what you want it to look like. And like thinking about it as almost like you think about a vacation, right? You look forward to a vacation. It's not something that you dread.
Right.
It's like you're excited for what is yet to come. And we build what is to come by what we do now. Our habits and behaviors today, in the next decade, years to come, will build the future that we say we want for ourselves. It doesn't just magically happen, right? It's an investment that we make day by day.
Absolutely.
So think about what your future will feel like. And maybe like, I'm not saying 30 years down the line, but like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. There was a guy, friend of mine who is a Tiny Habits certified coach, who posted, he just turned 52. And he posted, which really resonated with me, is that like nobody accidentally becomes fit in their 50s and beyond. It's not like, oops, I didn't even notice I was doing it. Like, it is effortful, right? And that really resonated. Like, oh, I'm not just going to randomly become the eccentric billionaire. Like, I'm going to have to invest in eccentric and billionaire activities if that's what I want, right?
You become an eccentric, cantankerous billionaire by doing the things that eccentric, cantankerous billionaires do.
Right. So imagine what it will feel like to be an active person, to be a fit person. What will it look like? What will you be doing? What do your mornings look like? What do your evenings look like? Who are you spending time with? What are you looking forward to doing? I was literally talking to Donald this morning about like my future. I imagine myself at some point stand-up paddleboarding. I also imagine myself canyoning.
Yes, and you're going to do both of those things with your second husband.
No, like canyoning, there are certain things, again, where like you can't teach someone to want to canyoning. To canyon.
I don't know if I have the canyoning gene.
It looks so fun. But
no, I had a DNA test done. I don't have that
you're
gene.
not.
Yeah,
but like spelunking is not. in my future. I'm not interested in enclosed spaces, but I am interested in canyoning. So what activities will you be doing? And this is like a real question. Are you like, oh gosh, in 10 years, I can't wait to be sitting on a couch watching other people do stuff. Like, and if that's your vibe, what, zero shade.
What do people watch at the mall food court?
No, but like, if you imagine yourself in a rocking chair watching grandchildren play while you sit in a rocking chair, there are like things that will happen. Like if you're in your future sitting, there are consequences to that, right? Like, but if you imagine yourself being active, going canyoning, like with Catherine Weigel as she canyons around.
Canyon with Catherine.
But like, what activities are you doing? Like, I really look forward to playing golf. I look forward to hiking. I look forward to literally like just got back from vacation with a relative. I was doing all of the lifting. I was lifting the suitcases. I was going up the stair with the suitcases. I was like picking out where we were going on the metro, right? Like I don't want to be, and this is sort of the reverse role. I don't want to rely on someone else to carry my luggage. Like what nightmare is that?
Right.
I don't want someone else to show me how to use a map. Like I trust no one. Like I want to do that for myself.
For
so
sure.
Reversing that of like, who is someone older than you who is living into what you want? And who is someone where you're like, ooh, that's not the vibe I want. Like, I want to be active and outgoing and getting things done. I don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. So what will you be eating? What will you be drinking? How will you sleep? Are you sleeping all day? Are you waking up early? What is the vibe that you're going for? And how are you showing up for others, right? Like, I see myself as a leader. I see myself as someone who is helpful and resourceful and has a growth mindset. And I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to hang all that up. Like, whoo, once that's done, then I can just sit back and like, whatever. Like, I see myself as someone with a growth mindset, someone who wants to continue her habits. And the more I can tie back into that of not like, this is a revenge body, blah. Like, I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for living into a version of myself that I'm excited to become and invest in. And that comes in day by day, choice by choice, and checking in with what you value. In 10 years from now, let's check back in and see what I value in 10 years. But right now, what I value is independence. I value autonomy. I value strength, and I value inspiring others. So what are you looking forward to? What are your core values? And how can you level up a little bit? What can you add more of? What can you reduce a little bit to really tie back into your North Star?
Yes, indeed. And I will tell you the thing that I value the most, our listeners.
Oh, nice.
Thank you so much.
Sorry that didn't come up in my list. Now I feel bad. It's like giving a wedding speech and you're like, well, I didn't know you were going to say that because I would I also value our listeners. So thanks.
Yeah. No, I think we get it. Okay. I think we know who values our listeners more than the others. So thank you so much for listening. We truly are grateful for your listening. If you enjoyed this episode, all of our episodes are available somewhere out there. The most recent 300 are available on all of the major podcast platforms. That is up to them, not us. We would have them all there if it was up to us. But you can find them wherever you found this one. Or if you want to go back and listen from the very beginning, we do have all of our episodes up on YouTube and also at any time on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for join our support group to find out more about WOLT Place. WOLT Place, We Only Look Thin Place. WOLT Place, how many times can I say it? Is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are a place for support and accountability and really kind of sort of working on mindset and your core values on this weight loss journey venture. We are not a weight loss plan. We're not going to give you a list of foods to eat, but we are a place for support and accountability and fellowship to really work on all of this mindset stuff that really does matter. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a a 7-day complimentary trial to see if WOLT Place is right for you. I do weekly Zoom meetings, check-ins. So check us out if you are interested in getting some support on your journey venture.
Yes, please do that. And you can also check us out on social media. We are at We Only Look Thin on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also check us out by sending us an email. We have an email address, weonlylookthin@gmail.com. If you would like to give us episode suggestions or if you have questions, we will do our best to answer them. We've also turned listener email suggestions, episode suggestions or questions into many episodes of this show. We also enjoy hearing from you. If you just want to say hello, give us a shout out, let us know why you're listening. Tell us your why. Send us an email, telling us what you found as your why, your core values that keep you going. We would like to hear from you. Once again, that is weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep. And if you have a couple of extra minutes, please, like this, no joke, please head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. Steal someone else's phone and do it on their phone also. If you would like to double your efforts, I would really appreciate it. Not only does it let us know that what we're doing after all of these years is still meaningful and valuable to our listeners, but it also helps others find us when they are searching for Cool Beans podcasts like ours.
Yeah, it really is a great way to support the show. We would appreciate it. We would also appreciate it if you would give us a shout out. If you're talking to somebody and it comes up, or somebody who might enjoy the show, if you would tell them about us, we would really be grateful. It really helps the show grow. Or if you are online, if you're in a Facebook group, a Discord server, a Reddit group, and it seems appropriate, or the theme, like I am all the time looking at the calories in, calories out Reddit group, and if you would give us a shout out, that would be really helpful.
It sure would.
So if immediately after this episode ends, you plan to use Yahoo to look up boho chic, please try and remember that Catherine and I are an inspiration. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.